Hey everyone, welcome to the PCS-Proof Podcast, where we're covering the vital things you need to know to thrive in every season of military life. I'm your host and milspouse fitness expert, Grace Barnick-Damazo, and I encourage you to join me each week as we dive deep into topics like fitness, wellness, and entrepreneurship as a military spouse so that you can maintain your own sense of identity and purpose, conquering every transition with strength and resilience. As we journey together, you can expect uplifting conversations and insights. We'll share some laughs, and you can count on me to keep it real so that together we can become truly PCS-proof. Now let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of the PCS-Proof Podcast. You guys know that I like to keep a nice balance on this podcast of informational, educational content, and also inspirational, motivational content. Because sometimes you need some information in order to build confidence to start or continue your health and fitness journey. Sometimes you just need to know what to do, why to do it, what's it affecting, all of that. Other times, you need someone to pump you up and cheer you on or give you that little push to keep working hard towards your goals. Sometimes you need that little oomph, that little push. Last week, we went through a very powerful goal setting and action plan activity. I really hope that you gave it a listen. If not, this episode might just inspire you to start turning your goals into reality. And I highly encourage you to go back and listen to that previous episode from last week. I'll link it in the show notes, or you can simply look at the previously released episodes and find the most recent one before this, which it's titled From Dreams to Reality, Proven Strategies for Crushing Your Goals as a Military Spouse. So go back, highly recommend after this episode, go ahead and listen to that right after. I've been consumed for these past 16 days. Maybe you're right there with me. I've been trying to watch as much of the Summer Olympics as I can. Maybe you've been doing the same in your part of the world. It's been kind of tough with the time difference here in Japan and the Olympics in Paris. So it's meant that I've been staying up maybe a little bit later than I would have liked to in order to watch some of it live. And then in the mornings, catching as much of it as I can on prime time. But I've loved every single minute that I've been able to watch. I love the Olympics, winter and summer. It doesn't really matter, although I'll happily admit that I really love the Winter Olympics more. So I'll happily admit that, but I will take any and all Olympics that I can. And I know I'm going to be dating myself a little bit here, but when I was growing up, it was super normal to get a lot of your clothes by ordering through a catalog. I know I'm old, but it was really common. Back to school shopping via JCPenney catalog or Sears catalog. That was the shit back then. I'm one of 3 girls. There's 5 of us in the family, but 3 of us are girls and we're all really close in age. So it was super easy and convenient for my mom to just order from a catalog and get 3 of the exact same item. Super efficient, or 3 of the same item, but in 3 different colors. You know what I mean? And I don't really remember most of the clothes that I had growing up, just generally. I don't really remember that many, but I vividly remember one specific summer where the packages arrived and we opened up the boxes to see these identical bright white sneakers with the Olympic rings embroidered on the sides, those 5 iconic rings. And I vaguely remember that there was a matching white Olympic branded sweatsuit that went with it, but the sneakers were really the prize. We all 3 put them on immediately and we headed straight outside to pretend that we were Olympians. My brothers had this skate ramp in our driveway, and we must have spent hours and hours just running up and down, making these little loops back and forth, just feeling like we could fly in these sneakers, just like the men and the women who earned those rings. I still find magic in watching the Olympics, even today. And even though I had another episode completely planned for this week, don't worry, I'll have that for you next week. I just felt so inspired by the women in these Summer Olympics and the lessons that we military spouses and women in military life can glean from them and what they gifted us in these past 16 days. They deserved an episode all of their own. Let's just run through the straight stats. These are just the straight up stats. The U.S. won a total of 126 medals in these Summer Paris Olympics. Of those 126 medals, women won 67 of them. That's 53% of the total medal count for the USA. So more than half of the medals were won by women this year. And this is just even beyond the fact that this was a historic Summer Olympics where we went into it with an equal number, for the first time ever, an equal number of men and women Olympians, period. But this is also within the United States. Women crushed the medal count. And if that weren't impressive enough, let's break it down just by medal. So speaking just for the USA team, US women won 21 bronze medals. The men won 22. They won 22 of the silver medals, whereas the men won 17 silver medals. And of the total of 40 gold medals won by Team USA, 26 of those gold medals were won by the women, meaning that they accounted for 65% of the gold medal count. So women are really winning right now, literally winning right now. It's an absolute fact. They carried the country to the top of the medal standings. And I realize that there might be a few of you who are listening who are thinking, what's the big deal? Any medal for the USA is great. And of course, that's true. But it is my opinion that we women carry more responsibilities than men. And we often have to sacrifice more in order to pursue our professional and our personal goals. And I could spend this episode running through all of the facts that would support my opinion, whether it's in pay discrepancies or in inequitable domestic expectations or just inequitable access to training facilities, coaching, and all of that. But I'd rather spend this episode celebrating women without having to apologize or justify why women deserve to be celebrated and why we deserve to make time to pursue our goals and our passions unapologetically. Because your goals are valid and worthy. And I hope that you can take in and really hear the messages that these women Olympians are sharing with you in order to inspire you that you are allowed to want more for yourself. So here are just some of the lessons that we can learn from the 2024 Summer Women Olympians. Lesson 1 is that we shouldn't judge ourselves on how or whether we fail. We shouldn't judge ourselves on our failures, but instead on how we handle adversity. And this is a lesson that was really highlighted by athletes like Simone Biles, of course, but also by track star Sha'Carri Richardson. So many people were throwing judgment at Sha'Carri and at Simone after the Tokyo Olympics. They had so much judgment, questioning their ability, questioning their commitment, all of that just thrown at them after the 2020-2021 Tokyo Olympics. But despite the harsh judgments, they each just quietly went back to work. And even when everyone else was betting against them, they were betting on themselves. And you may have noticed that on Sha'Carri's hands, she had written on one hand, "I'm not back." And on the other hand, she had written, "I'm better." She knew that this wasn't a comeback tour. She had experienced some adversity and she used that adversity to fuel her efforts for the next 3 years. Same with Simone. Many of us choose to give up on our fitness journeys when we don't see results after just a few weeks. Can you imagine if we were to actually commit to doing the work for 3 years or 4 years? How transformative would that be? These athletes are trying to tell us that discipline is not a dirty word. Commitment is not a dirty word. When you are really clear on your goals and you commit to doing the work, then you don't have to worry about making a comeback. And they're also telling us that there is no such thing as failure, or not in the way we traditionally think about it. It's the universe's way of telling us to continue the journey. We just have to learn something differently or learn something new on our journeys. So that's lesson 1. Lesson 2 is that it's okay to want to commit to something that's just for you. It's okay to be unapologetically great. Simone Biles was just an unending source of amazing quotes and statements over the course of these Olympics, even before. But the main thing that I really saw from her was an unapologetic celebration of knowing her worth and knowing her greatness. And I'm going to speak for myself and myself alone on this. These are my feelings and my experience. That being said, I really do think that I am in the majority of women who feel very similarly. I know that I'm a great coach. I've worked very hard. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money to become a good coach. But I hold myself back because I'm afraid of the perception of being cocky or braggadocious. And even in that statement that I just made to you, I held myself back because the truth is that I know that I'm not just a good coach. I'm a great coach. I've done the work. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in order to learn from the best in the fitness industry so that I can become one of the best in the industry. And right now I'm cringing a little bit at myself as I'm sharing this, and that is my point. In my experience, women have been taught to win, but not be too loud about it. Don't try to outshine the others, and definitely don't try to outshine the men. They hate that. But what Simone showed us this Olympics that is beautiful and inspirational is that it's okay to allow yourself to shine completely. And you could see just how graceful she was with her competitors, how gracious she was to Rebecca Andrade, who took the gold medal in the final event. She showed us that it's absolutely possible to be unapologetically great without making those around you shine any less. She's inspiring an entire generation of young female athletes to hopefully follow in her footsteps. And I hear you too, Simone. I'm really going to work on not holding myself back anymore. Not being so concerned about making other people feel uncomfortable because I've chosen to really commit myself to being the best fitness coach for women in military life. And I hope that that will inspire the women in my community to do exactly the same thing.
Hey, fellow milspouse. Ever felt the frustration of being forced to restart your fitness routine every time military life throws you a curveball? Whether it's a PCS, a deployment, or a short-term assignment, disruptions can make progress feel nearly impossible. But now there's a solution designed just for you, the PCS-Proof Fitness Program from FitPath Coaching. Designed by a woman in military life, for women in military life. It's flexible, adaptable, and affordable. No more setbacks or starting over, just steady progress on your terms. Visit fitpathcoaching.com/PCS-proof-fitness to start your journey today. And as a special offer for our podcast listeners, get your first month free with promo code POD4FREE. That's POD, the number 4, FREE. Say goodbye to stress and frustration and hello to a stronger, healthier, happier you with PCS-Proof Fitness. Join us today and get ready to conquer any challenge military life sends your way. PCS-Proof Fitness, join today.
The third lesson that I believe the Olympic women are trying to tell us is that we're great alone, but together we're unstoppable. You know the saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Well, I'm going to go ahead and add on one more part to that. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And if you want to go far very fast, surround yourself with amazing women. USA women cleaned up in the team pursuits of this Olympiad. And I really think that there's an important lesson to be learned in this. We saw more than a few of the men's teams, sorry to say, who couldn't make it to the podium. With a few exciting exceptions, such as the men's gymnastics team winning a medal for the first time in 16 years, very amazing. But of the 14 team medals, the team pursuits, of the 14 medals, 7 of those were gold. Isn't that remarkable? And just to make it even more clear how remarkable this feat is, there were 23 team events that Team USA Women's participated in. So they medaled in over 50% of the team events. And 50% of the time, that medal was gold. Mind-blowing. But we already know how amazing women can be when they put all of their strengths together to accomplish a common goal, right? Society, more than often, pressures us to compare ourselves to other women, don't they? Especially in military life, we're constantly comparing ourselves to each other. But what if instead of constantly comparing ourselves, we chose to combine our strengths? Just like the women's Olympic team athletes, if we chose to trust the women around us with our weaknesses and our vulnerabilities so that they could bolster us and take the baton for us a little bit. And just like the women Olympic teams know, when one player is having a rough game or not performing the way that they normally do, they can trust their teammates to step up and fill the gap, or even allow other players, another player maybe, to finally shine. Which is absolutely normal in sport and often in military life, right? When someone in your military community is experiencing a rough deployment and Murphy keeps knocking at their door, or they're struggling to get their footing after just PCSing in, what if we stepped up? What if we helped the women around us in our military communities to shine? I would bet that we'd go a lot further, much faster, together. And our final lesson, lesson 4, is let us soak up the moment we worked our whole lives for. And that was from a response from Simone Biles after being asked probably hundreds of times, what's next for you? It's in our nature to constantly be striving for improvement and looking ahead. And because of this, we very often breeze past opportunities to savor our successes. I see this so much with the women that I work with in my private coaching business. I'm often reminding them how far they've come and how much progress they've made. And in most cases, they kind of have to pause for a moment and just let that soak in. And in that moment, they can remember when they started their journey and how even seemingly simple movements for them now used to be so challenging for them when they first started. We need to give ourselves permission to celebrate our success and soak up our accomplishments. It's okay to want more for yourself, but it's also, if the GOAT of gymnastics, someone as driven to greatness as Simone Biles, is telling us to take some time to soak it all in, then I think we should listen to her and take that lesson to heart for our own journeys. Don't you? So what action would I like you to take from this podcast episode? What action would I like you to walk away with? I'm all about giving you actionable steps that you can start to implement right away, and I don't want this episode to be any exception. So I think that the main takeaway that I'd like you to walk away with after listening is that you deserve to pursue the goals that you set for yourself and that are important to you. You deserve to take some chances, even though the thought of possibly failing might be what's holding you back. That exact adversity is probably what you need in order to transform into the person that you dream of becoming. So my action step for you is to not wait any longer. Quit holding yourself back and take that first step forward. And maybe it's been so long that you don't even really know what you want to accomplish. Or maybe you've spent so many years in military life and just feeling like we have so little control over what's going to happen next that you just quit dreaming. I get it. But don't let this be another one of those times. The world needs more women to truly shine. And if that first step that you need is just to get really clear on your goals, then I strongly encourage you to listen to last week's episode today. Don't wait. And out of respect for the GOAT, Simone, and in an effort to allow myself to shine, I want to invite you to become part of my team. I have a few spots available right now for private fitness and nutrition coaching. If you are interested in working with a coach who not only understands the unique challenges of military life, but also has the expertise gained from some of the best fitness coaches in the world, and who has nearly a decade of experience working with women just like you and help you to shine, then let's chat. You can either DM me on Instagram at GraceBFitness, or you can reach out to me through the podcast platform, which is at PCS-Proof Podcast, or you can head over to my website, fitpathcoaching.com, and click on the green Get Started Now button. I'll include a link to all of these in the show notes, and we'll just hop on a quick call and review your goals and get you set up and on the fast track to your success. And with that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed the Olympics. I hope that you hear the messages that these women athletes, these amazing Olympians, have to share with us from these past 16 days of competition. I cannot wait for the Winter Olympics in 2026. But good news, you won't have to wait that long for the next episode of the PCS-Proof Podcast. Meet me right back here next week for another great episode. Until then, remember, no matter where in the world military life sends you, together, we are truly PCS-proof. Adios.
And here is the legal language. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or fitpathcoaching.com. Moreover, we are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast.